Good morning, my name is Scharron Clayton and you're listening to FYI, a very special edition here at KBBG FM. I'm in the studio with Bruce Carter and we'll be focusing in on some of his interests and what he's doing with us here in Waterloo, Iowa. I'm going to go to Bruce and ask him to tell us just a little bit about himself before we get into information about his organization.
I am a father, and I am just an individual that would love to see our next generation have a real opportunity to live out and manifest some of the dreams that we always talk about.
Now, Bruce, I know that you hail from Texas, but being in Iowa is not an unusual situation for you, given that you did attend Iowa Wesleyan University and actually set records there in football and have basically proven that football players can go on to do many things and it doesn't have to be pro football necessarily.
Correct.
Please talk to us about your trek through Iowa Wesleyan and your interest in having your own business.
I've actually had my own business since I was 8 years old in some form or fashion. And even when I went to college at Iowa Wesleyan, I opened up a window cleaning business called Wesleyan Washers. And I was able to obtain contracts with Hardee's, McDonald's, and also some of the other small businesses there. But for me, Iowa has always been good for me.
Okay.
I actually coached Jess Vilsack, who is the son of former Governor Tom Vilsack. I've got a good relationship with him, and he's currently in Washington now. So, Iowa's been a good place for me, and I think coming back, our organization is called a Campaign for Education, and as historically, Iowa is the place where people start their presidential campaigns, and they're always saying, if I could win Iowa. So I think, if we win the Campaign for Education here in Iowa as we proceed across the country, we started in a good place, and so I'm excited.
That, Campaign for Education, the linkage with this being the first primary state, that's clever. I'll give you props on that. That's very clever. And folks, you're listening once again to For Your Information. I'm in the studio with Bruce Carter, and we'll have a conversation focused on his organization, and we will be opening the phone lines in about 10 minutes or so. So stay tuned and listen to us. You spoke of the entrepreneurial spirit that you developed in college. As you have traveled around, and I'm veering a little bit, but as you have traveled around, have you sensed that this spirit is alive and well within specifically the African American community?
In the state, yes, and I've had some great opportunities to meet some young people in Waterloo. It is alive. I believe that once the opportunity has presented itself, that it will just come to life. But so often our children are not built in that environment. For me, I started at 8 years old. My daughter's 12. She now owns a national company. So it's all about what we put in and around our children. So I think once they have a little bit of success, even for those that, parents say, oh, they can't sell, they can't do this. Once they have some success, because our children are very creative and they're like sponges. And once they can get out and things can come forth for them, then they'll grow and they'll become more and more empowered, and you'd be surprised where they might go as an entrepreneur.
So you're saying that if the right environment is created for the child, in terms of that child having at least some access to explore what they want to do without being stopped.
Yeah, our environment will affect us negatively or positively, one way or another, because that's what they know. And if it's entrepreneurship, then they'll venture down that road. So often, parents, unfortunately, they're more in tune to put their children into some little league sports organization, because that's what we know if we're specifically talking about the African American community. So we have to now start to change that, because every child is not going to be an athlete past little league. Some won't even make it in junior high or high school. But if that's all we've put in them at an early age, then that's all we're going to get out of them. So I think that if you start at 8, it worked for me. It's a reason why we're at 8.
It sounds like you have a message that you would share. You said you came into Iowa Waterloo yesterday,
Yes.
and you hit the ground running,
Right.
and you met young people here
I did.
who seem to be ambitious and were willing to follow up with you. And you talk about youth. What might you say to parents in terms of getting this population up off the couch, away from the video games, you know?
I think that based on all the work I've done over the last 7 years and being across the country, I'm not going to even leave it up to parents. I'm going to talk to your listening audience, to those grandparents that are probably over 55, and other people that would love to see the community grow in a prosperous direction. Because unfortunately, a lot of the children we're talking about, the young man I was talking to yesterday, he was 17. His mom was in her early 30s. And that means that, you know, there's still this disconnect because they don't understand the importance of right now for our children. So due to some of the young individuals that have had children, the absentee of the dads or the fathers not being there, then I don't think that the correction or where we need to go is going to happen directly in the homes. But hopefully, if we can take these youth and teach them and they become foundationally sound, then some of their development will rub off on the parents. So I'm trying to go backwards.
I was going to say, you're actually reversing the process, because a lot of folks would say that you know, the environment is so impactful that to send a person back into a negative environment will result in some sort of recidivism, you know, that they're going to gravitate back towards what the home is. But you're suggesting that these youth can become so strong that they can change their environment.
Exactly. Success tends to give you a voice. So that kid that is really good in football, everybody wants to be around that kid. Family members, they allow this kid to go ways he probably shouldn't go.
Right.
And I think success and so often is based on what financially might be at the end of this rainbow. So that means in some households where there's limited amount of income coming in, and you know, and I got to this based on seeing where children are now being put on medication, because with the medication there's a check that can come along with it. So I'm saying, okay, let's try to get away from that.
Let's back up to that though, because some people might hear you say that and it seems unbelievable, but it is a known fact that people have actually fought to get their kids diagnosed.
Definitely.
So that they can receive the benefits, and the
Exactly.
child is sacrificed. And
Exactly.
so you're seeing that across the
country, and it's horrible, and the ages are becoming younger, even to where some are allowing their kids to be committed into these little hospitals for a certain period of time. So I'm saying, let us have the children, because if we can get the child to that point, at least the child is strong enough to get out here foundationally and survive.
Now let's back up, because you said if we can get the child, let's talk about your organization so that folks know. Folks, you're listening to Bruce Carter, who is in town to identify and work with youth in Waterloo. And with the aspiration, and I would say the motivation and the dedication to help turn some of these young people around so that they're on a trajectory of success, as opposed to a trajectory of floundering from item to item. So talk to us about your organization and take your time and explain it all to us.
The organization, once again, is a campaign for education, and it's not built on mathematics and social studies. It's about empowerment of the youth. So we have what we call a youth business seminar, which is actually ran by a 12-year-old. She's known as a youth promoter, and this is her company. She does the facilitating along with outside individuals that can impart the wisdom into the children. Children learn QuickBooks. I mean, they learn how to manage a business. They learn how to order. They learn how to budget. And then they have to manage the income that they get so they can continue on. And what we've tried to do, because unfortunately in the African American community, people don't buy into the future of the child. So we also bring along entertainment.
Okay.
If you want to move us, entertainment and food, we'll move.
But let's back up, because I want to talk about this 12-year-old. I want you to talk a little bit more about this 12-year-old who has a business.
Okay?
And if I'm hearing you correctly, she is with you here.
She will be here.
She will be here.
Yeah, she will be here. She's 12 years old. She's been courted by Duke for the last 3 years. So she spends time
That's
with
Duke University.
Duke University.
Okay.
She spends time with Duke. Last summer she was in Florida. This summer she'll be in St. Louis. She has been student of the month. She scored a 100 on her math test, which is the test you must take to go to the next grade. Today she's actually in Texas, and she's my daughter, matter of fact. So
Okay, this is the 12-year-old.
it's my baby, right?
Okay, okay.
But like today, they're doing a project at school, and she volunteered. Other kids wouldn't do it unless they were paid. She volunteered. So her whole premise is she knows her dad has been an entrepreneur, and she decided, I want to work for myself. And so we got together, we started a company. My investment was $150 for her first website. Since then, she has now updated her website. She does her own ordering of the items for her seminars. She's negotiating the deal so that everyone, she will have her own like Apple tablet, a 7-inch tablet that has YP, which is a brand, and it will have different locks, but it will have wealth of information for the children that become a part of the Youth Promoter Small Business Alliance.
So that's her label, the Youth Promoter.
YP, yes, Youth Promoter.
That's incredible. Okay, but here's a couple of things you said about her. She has long-range goals, because that inspires her to volunteer in those situations where she can gather and gain more experience and actually share her knowledge.
Exactly.
So she's not working for tomorrow, I want to go buy a pair of Nikes.
No.
You know, okay.
Well, we did the education process. Actually, she wanted Kevin Durant's.
Okay.
We had to talk about that.
Okay.
I mean, and I said, you don't play basketball. Why would you pay $100 something you might wear occasionally? Because that's not how you perform.
Exactly. In fact, she would want not just one pair, she want 2 pair.
Right. So, and it just goes back.
Yeah.
It goes back to what we're talking about. It's one thing when you come in and you speak to a kid and you leave. But when you have some substance that will keep you connected to the child, then that child they'll listen to you, they'll trust you, and they will deliver. And I think that is where we must get in our communities. And I'm gonna go back to something you said. It's not even about for me to turn those kids around, because in my view, every child is at risk. That means I can do everything I can for my child, have them on the right path. But if the child next to her, in the classroom or in the school, is off the chart, then my kid's at risk.
Right.
So we need to invest in as many youth as we possibly can, because one day that might be the boy that dates your daughter or the girl that dates your son.
Now, you're putting on the table the interesting proposition of moving as a collective, as opposed to an individual focused on him or herself. And that seems to be something that could be at odds with the kind of society we live in now. Given that we're in a competitive environment where what I do for me is more important than what I can do for you. So you're actually promoting a collectivism that kind of goes against, the
And I
grain
think
a little
that
bit.
has been the trick, to divide.
Okay.
And so if you can have the division, then we don't have to worry about what's going to take place. Now, I'm different. I believe that I have to put 4 steps forward so I can kill that mindset. So as I was telling you yesterday, I spent time with a gentleman who has over 100 youth in his organization, and it seems that they're doing great things. I talked to another gentleman who has 100+ youth in his organization. So this Saturday, I'm going to go out with them and wash cars as they raise money. Same type of process, entrepreneur based. So I think that when you can go and invest into somebody else's place, their dream, their vision, as if it's yours, you hope that there's some reciprocity that brings them back. Not always, because people are selfish and they are going to stay there. But the children,
Okay.
will come out because they'll want more.
Folks, you're listening to Bruce Carter, who is the CEO and founder of Campaign for Education. He's here in town to conduct some seminars, so to speak, with our youth. When we come back, we will continue with him telling us about his organization. And the phone lines at 234-1441 will be open if you have a question. The wonderful thing is that Bruce and I will be back on air tomorrow at 10 with the phone lines open with questions you may have about his organization, about entrepreneurship, motivating youth. I mean, he's got it all going on. So we're going to go to break and we'll be right back.
Today, my new dad threw a barbecue. Today,
All right.
my new son and I.
So
There were
it's,
burgers and
When we come back, we're going to let you continue about your organization. I interrupted you. I stopped you with the music thing, you know, for some reason. I don't know why I did that.
no, but this is going to be a talking point because let me show you why.
Okay.
When I come into a town, I always create jobs. I have a young couple I met. I was walking out the barbershop. I said, Lord, I need people. And I would ask in the barbershop, do you know good, dependable people? They didn't know them. When I come out of the barbershop, I meet a young couple.
Very good.
And they're working now. They have a young baby. One goes to UNI in the nursing field.
Okay.
She's going to be a doctor. And he works at Isle Capri. And they're working. And I say, hey, you got to dress a certain way. They showed up. They're out doing their thing. And so they have to show me pictures of where they hang posters.
Okay.
So I said,
Get Lou. Welcome back to For Your Information. Bruce Carter is my special guest here today, and we're talking about the Campaign for Education and his ideas regarding youth motivation and success in terms of building lives and building communities and building our situation here in the United States. Bruce, I want to go back to you. You were sharing with our listening audience information about your organization, and I interrupted you when you put on the table that you have a 12-year-old who happens to be your daughter, I should put it that way, who has a business who will be joining you to conduct some seminars, and the name of her business is?
youth promoter.
Youth Promoter, and it sounds like she has really hit the ground running also.
Yes. You know, sometimes she's had to work to 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, still get up and go to school. That's just part of the process. And I think that I am probably her hardest critic because I understand what it really means to be an entrepreneur. And I don't want her to have any misnomer that it's easy. So she has to do the work. Her mom is very active. Her mom is more like probably greater than an assistant could be because that's what she does. And her oldest sister is an employee.
Okay.
And so she pays her 16-year-old, her 15-year-old sister, she pays her. Her 16-year-old sister, who actually lives in Burlington, Iowa, will be joining us, who will also be on her payroll. And so now all of my children are learning. They have to learn graphic designs, website development, videography. Everything that I'm spending money on, they need to learn it so they can now prosper and grow and, you know, feel accountable.
Okay.
And there was another show that was on the station, I believe, Monday, and I didn't get the information, but the man said something so profound, because it is what I do and it's what I believe. If we can change our girls to where they understand and they have non-negotiables, then it will work, because guys will follow. They will follow suit. And everything we do is built on that premise. Away from, you know, that's Youth Promoter. You can go to youthpromoter.com and get more information on her. She'll be here in town as soon as school's out, doing some interviews and some things like that. But you kind of stopped me. I was going into how we kind of operate.
Right.
And we operate, I've been forced to operate with the entertainment side. Didn't do it for years, but I realized that until we put the substance we have to in our children, we have to utilize what they know. So that's why I do the entertainment. But doing the shows, we do a bullying skit. We do a social etiquette skit. And it's all girls that perform these skits because it's still a teaching moment. So we have the show with a little popular group called Mindless Behavior. They are like the Jackson Fives. And the majority of their listeners are African American girls, probably 99% across the country, are African American girls between the ages of 7 and 15. That's who come to our shows. And it's always a sad part, but I have to deal with the reality of it. As I was telling you, I have young people out putting out flyers and information.
Currently here in Waterloo?
Currently here. Every time we come, we employ. So if you know good, dependable young people that are looking for work, we will hire them, if they qualify. So we have young people out working now, and they're putting out these posters. And me and you, we're looking at 2 posters. One that promotes youth small business, that's ongoing, and those children, it just reads, empower your child to a one-day seminar that will provide your child with entrepreneurship training, enhance their existing business, or provide them with a business model that will allow them to earn $500 plus per month. They get breakfast, lunch, they get a starter product, gift bag, they get a VIP ticket to the Minds Behavior Show, a tablet, and a chance to win $10,000 as the next top CEO, which wraps up in Washington, D.C.
I want to sign up, but unfortunately the age
Yeah,
group.
the age is 8 to 17, 8 to 17.
Okay.
Now, here's what they do is they have to show me pictures and document it.
They'll answer.
The majority of the posters that they were allowed to hang up was about the show, not about the business seminar. The business owners unfortunately chose, because they only wanted one up, the one about the show, the entertainment. That's why it's important for me and you and people who understand beyond.
So the hook is the music. Folks, we're at 234-1441, and the phone lines are open. I think we have a caller here. Let me check.
Line 3.
Hello, caller?
Yes.
Go ahead, you're on the air.
Yeah, I'm sure, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sure that the gentleman had a good program, but I'm concerned about something he said there.
Okay. Share your concern.
This thing of educating the girls, and then the guy will follow.
So what's your concern? There's a saying that a woman said.
My concern is this: you're going to educate the girls with the thought that eventually the men will follow.
So would you prefer?
I can't buy that.
Okay.
There's a lot of young men here that shouldn't be followers. They should be leaders.
Okay. I hear your concern.
I'm concerned about that because that's exactly the strategy that the larger community has kind of forced upon black malehood. They've educated women for years, where the black man has always had either wait or not get any education.
Would you like me to address your concern?
Let Bruce reply.
Would you like me to?
Yeah,
Okay.
most certainly.
Let me say this. I'm in Waterloo, and I guess you are too, but I do this nationally. So I don't just go off of what I think, I go off of facts. That means every city I go to, you tell me that the young men are the leaders, but when I go through and travel through a city, and the majority of the young men, unfortunately, they don't even know to pull their clothes up, and we can't get that changed. So that means if I go to a young lady, and my number one thing is this: you have the ability to stop the cycle. That means if you're not producing a child that we know has a high opportunity not to be taken care of, because our boys have not developed into men. Now, where that lack of training takes place, we haven't figured that out. But I believe it's because we don't have enough men that became daddies, they're fathers. Okay. So the concern says I have 5 daughters, and the only way I can protect my daughters is I teach them what to accept and what not to accept. That's what I mean when I say follow
Okay.
the young girls.
I want to thank the caller for calling in. We're going to keep the lines open, but I have another call. Thank you. Hello, caller?
Hello? Yes?
Yeah, the line, go ahead, you're on the air.
Yes, how you doing? My name is Dennis Murray.
Hello, Dennis.
Hey, I'm doing fine. And I'm with Youth Development Capacity Building Inc. I'm one of Mr. Carter's partners. And I'm on a kind of a fast-track conversation here. And one of the concerns that I find that we continue to have, and Bruce can make a comment on that, we have been trying to get corporations to see this as a value and not as a entertainment piece. And I want Bruce to make a comment on the value of it versus the entertainment piece, you know, in regards to our children. Also, I'd like for him to make a comment in regards to our 2015 value of a life.
Okay, I want to thank you because I'm going to let Bruce, we have about 3 minutes, but we'll be back on the air tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And so we can address the 2000 campaign, I think, tomorrow, but I'll let him address the first part, why corporations are grasping towards the entertainment and et cetera. Is that okay with you, caller?
That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for calling in.
You know, this is why I love to do an hour. But the whole thing boils down to this. At the end of the day, for corporations, it's about the bottom line. And as a community, and I'm going back to the caller that called with the concern, because now I'd like to challenge you. I want you to find some young men that you would actually give the opportunity and put into the program so they can be taught and learn how to be what they're designed to be. But we can't wait on corporations or anybody else to change what to them doesn't need to be changed, because as long as I can have a child or a family that all they know is to spend, then as a corporation, I'm fine with that. So the more that becomes educated on how to spend and the value of their dollar and how to make their dollar multiply, then I'm hindering myself potentially, because that kid and that family won't run into my store every time I put the word sale, and it's really not a sale. So,
you know, this is exciting, folks, and for our listeners, let's be perfectly clear. I do not think that Bruce was suggesting that we pit women against men, but there's evidence, I think, about when and where I enter, then the whole race will enter behind me, and that is focused on black women's history. Okay, caller, I know you're going to call back tomorrow. This has been a lot of fun, but remember, we're not talking about competition between men and women. We're talking about how we move men and women forward in the African American community, and we'll have various opinions.
and as we finish, it's all about this, and for those callers, especially you, for he that finds a good wife finds a good thing. Sometimes we need strong people in our corner, and if we're not there, and a lot of our young African American males are not there, and they don't get the opportunity to get there because they're not prepared. But I think if the standard is raised, then they'll get there sooner, and that's what I'm talking about, raising the standard.
Listen, we're going to be back here tomorrow at 10 with good conversation. Bruce is all geared up to talk about the male-female comment that he made, and I'm always here at KBBG FM. Recall that we will have a membership drive coming up in August, and I want to encourage you to continue to support programming like this. Bev, I want to thank you, and I want to thank the listeners for being there. And please do join us tomorrow. And remember, the phone lines will be open from the top of the show at 234-1441. Thank you.